Good afternoon, dear students. Today I have brought some important quotes from the play Macbeth. Macbeth was a king in Scotland in the 11th century on whom this play is based. He was one of the last Gaelic kings. His real name was Macbeth Findlich. Unlike the Macbeth of our play, he was not the murderer and ruled over a part of Scotland. Let's take our first quote. Yet do I fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest wind. This line is said by Lady Macbeth after she reads a letter from her husband informing her about the prophecy of the witches. You see, the play begins with three witches who declare that Macbeth will become the king. So she is excited by the letter in which Macbeth had informed her about the visit of King Duncan to their castle. When Macbeth becomes victorious in the battle and restores crown of King Duncan makes him the Thane of Cawdor and offers a visit to his castle as an expression of honor shown towards his gallantry. King also declares his elder son Malcolm as the prince. On this declaration, Macbeth becomes worried about his future of becoming the king. He informs all about these developments, about the prophecy of the witches also, in a letter written to Lady Macbeth. When Lady Macbeth reads this letter, she also becomes ambitious to see Macbeth as the king of the Scotland. But at the same time, she is fearful, afraid of Macbeth's humane nature, his consciousness. She understands that Macbeth is not a wicked person. He is so much full of the milk of human kindness that he may refrain himself from murdering the king, because the shortest route to become the king, the nearest way to fulfill their desire, their ambition to seize the throne, is to eliminate the king from the way by murdering him. So, in this speech of Lady Macbeth, we see that though she is excited by the letter, but she fears that Macbeth is too kind to perform this heinous crime of murdering the king. Let's move to another quotation which says, "Look like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it." This line is also said by Lady Macbeth in the same scene 5th of Act 1. In this speech, she is convincing her husband to pretend like a perfect host, to look like an innocent flower, look like a good person, welcoming host. But since they had to perform their criminal act. This vicious inclination need to be hidden. That's why she advises Macbeth to behave in an welcoming and pleasant manner and hide his expression. King Duncan visits them. The true purpose of murdering King Duncan need to be performed in foolproof manner. Hence she tells Macbeth to look like an innocent flower, to look like a welcoming, good, perfect host, and hide his vicious intentions behind his sweet appearance. Let's move to third quotation, which says, "Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Love to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth." This is the prophecy made by second apparition in the first scene of Act 4. Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Love to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. There are three apparitions in this scene. The second apparition, the bloody child. In this scene, we see second apparition which presents a child smeared in blood, and that apparition made this speech which says these apparitions were conjured by witches to make prophecy for Macbeth. The speech is very famous one. The apparition tells Macbeth to be confident and without fear. Be bloody, bold, and resolute. Since to be confident without fear, since no person who is born of a woman can harm Macbeth, can kill Macbeth. That is why apparently it seems that no one can harm or kill Macbeth. The apparition convinces Macbeth that he is invincible, as he would never be killed by another man. He chooses to neglect the first apparition which warned him of Macduff, and doesn't realize that the bloody child is in fact the infant Macduff, covered with the blood of the untimely ripped womb of his mother. So, this second apparition, the first apparition, I must remind you, told Macbeth that beware of Macduff. Now, Macduff was one of the important character in this play. Macduff doesn't attend banquet given by Macbeth. From his absence in this banquet, Macbeth understands that Macduff has Macbeth yes. When Macduff misses banquet of Macbeth, Macbeth understands that Macduff has become suspicious of his previous doings. So he plans that without any delay, he will also get Macduff and his family killed, that is, out of his way, like he has ordered for the murder of Banquo and his son Flames. Here, Macbeth becomes much puzzled, loses his peace, becomes worried about his future, and in this fourth act, he visits witches again, asks them to tell about his coming time, about his future, and asks them that whatever is hidden in the womb of future must be told to him, and what form it may be, whether the whole universe gets disturbed, he must know the truth. Here, the witches conjure apparitions. The first apparition makes Macbeth to be aware of Macduff, but in contrast to the speech or statement by the first apparition, the second one assures Macbeth that no one can harm Macbeth, since any man naturally born from a woman cannot harm Macbeth, cannot kill Macbeth. But later on in the play, this truth is revealed that Macduff was not born in a natural way. He was untimely ripped from the womb of his mother, what we call caesarean. So this bloody child, the apparition, second apparition of bloody child, it represents the birth of Macduff, where the child is smeared with blood, who is dodging Macbeth, assuring him that no one can kill Macbeth. Whereas in the end we will see Macbeth himself reveals that he was not naturally born, and he ultimately kills Macbeth. So in this speech we see the apparition. Second apparition is assuring Macbeth, be bloody, bold and resolute. Laugh to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. This convinces Macbeth that Macbeth is invincible, as he would never be killed by another man. Now we move to next. There is dagger in men's smiles, the near in blood, the nearer bloody. This line is said by the younger son of King Duncan, Donalbain. In Act 2, Scene 3rd, after the murder of Duncan, these two Duncan's sons, Malcolm and Donalbain, they decide to run away, to escape from Scotland. Malcolm flew to England, and Donalbain to Ireland. In this line, said by the younger son of King Duncan in a conversation with his elder brother Malcolm after their father's murder, Donalbain suspects that the people who surround them are not actually kindly contain among them the person who murdered their father. This line is said by the younger son of King Duncan in a conversation with his elder brother after their father's murder. Donalbain suspects that the people who surround them are not acting kindly. Among them, the person who murdered their father is also present. He says that daggers are present in men's smile, probably referring to the canines we show when one smiles and implying that not everyone who acts friendly is a friend. Daggers in men's smile. Canine, the teeth which hurt. The near in blood, the nearer bloody. Whosoever is a close relative may be more dangerous. The near in blood, the nearer bloody implies that beware of the ones who are in close relation, as they are most likely to betray and murder you. As much as we believe on someone, that one gets most opportunity to betray us. So, whosoever is close in our relation is most likely to betray and harm ourselves. Speech by Donalbain. Next one. Let's fall thy blade on vulnerable crests. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. Here I would like to refer you this third explanation made by second apparition. Be bloody, bold and resolute, love to scorn the power of man, for none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. So as was assured by the second apparition, here when Macbeth faces in this act 5th, scene 8, when he is challenging Macduff, he asks that let Macduff's blade fall on chests that are vulnerable, or Macduff must fight with someone who can be defeated. He adds that he leads a charmed life which can't be ended by anyone born of a woman. Macbeth gets this illusion of being invincible due to this second apparition, which states that none of woman born shall harm Macbeth. Macbeth then states that he was not born, but cut out of his mother's womb before she could bear him naturally, as I told you earlier. This quote gave rise to the famous phrase, charmed life. I bear a charmed life. Though charmed meant magical in Shakespeare's times, but this phrase was extended to mean anyone who was lucky and escaped danger narrowly. So remember, this is the speech by Macbeth in the fighting scene From end, now we move to the beginning of the drama. One of the famous statement is, "Fair is foul and foul is fair." The Witches, Act 1, Scene 1. Fair is foul and foul is fair. In the last scene, in the last lines of this scene 1 of Act 1, this famous quote is said by witches, and it sets the tone of the play. Fair is foul. What is good? What is fair will turn into foul, and what is wrong, what is foul, would be good. It could be simply understood as, what is fair or pretty will become foul or ugly, and vice versa. That is, things would be opposite to what they appear. As you saw, be bloody, bold, and it appeared as if Macbeth was invincible and won't be harmed by anybody, but later on, Macbeth kills him since he was not naturally born. So this kind of thing we have understood, that this intention or the tone of the play was mentioned in the very beginning of this drama. It can be understood as suggesting that Macbeth's world will become upside down. He became the king of Scotland, but from that point his downfall started. He will do things he considers foul or unfair, disregarding what appears fair to him. This is among the most important lines from the play, and it describes the theme of the drama as well. Now I come to this one. To know my deed, it were best not know myself. In this drama, second scene of Act 2, Macbeth makes this statement. Famous quote is spoken by Macbeth in this scene, where he returns after killing Duncan in his sleep. He killed Duncan while he was asleep with a dagger. Here Macbeth is stating that it would be better if he was completely unaware of himself than to be conscious and think of the crime he had committed. He is conscious of his guilt. It was because of the combined effect of the prophecies by the witches and Lady Macbeth's forcing, along with his own ambition to become the king, that ultimately he committed this heinous crime of regicide. But again he feels that it would have been better if he was not conscious of what he has done. It were best not know myself. He doubts whether he knows the man who committed the crime. He was not believing that he had done this unethical thing, this wrong action of killing his king, who was 3 times secured. First one, he was king, was his guest. In his previous speech, he brooded over all these points, that instead of killing King Duncan, he should have protected him. as he was his guest, and it was the duty of host to protect his guest. Secondly, he was the king, and he being under king, commander of the king, should have protected his king. Moreover, thirdly, king need to be protected as he was his cousin. So from all these points, Macbeth had to save the king, not to kill him. Thus, this quote reflects that although Macbeth chooses to realize his ambition by unethical means by killing King Duncan, he is also aware of his wrongdoing. That is why he says that though I have committed this crime, but better I shouldn't be aware of it. Let's move to this quotation 8. This statement made by Macbeth in the scene 5th, Act 5, which reads, Out, out, brief candle, life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. This quote is from one of the most famous soliloquies in Macbeth. Very important one. Spoken by Macbeth after he hears that his wife has committed suicide. And he also knows that armies are marching against him. He says that these days on this world are short, a brief candle, and ultimately one is enveloped in darkness. Though due to his ambition, Macbeth committed the crime of killing King Duncan, and out of his fear of being exposed, continuously, one after another, he was following the chain of murders. He was deeply engrossed in the pool of blood of his kinsmen, of his fellow men. This guilt, this sin was heavily loaded on the consciousness of Lady Macbeth as well, who becomes sick, develops insomnia, and ultimately is not in a position to endure her disturbed psyche anymore and commits suicide. Lady Macbeth kills herself. When Lady Macbeth's suicide is pronounced to Macbeth, ultimately he realizes that what is the course of life? Life is very short, and good time is also very short one. And in chase of that little happiness, men do all right and wrong things. But ultimately, what is the gain? What is the achievement? That is why he considers this life as a flickering light of a candle staying for a little while only. He says that life or days of life on this stage of world are short, and ultimately everything comes to an end results or ends in darkness. He compares life to an unimportant actor, like a walking shadow for the character he plays. This insignificant actor struts and frets upon the stage. Or, in other words, this insignificant actor is proud and anxious for the small part he has to perform on stage, and then he is hurt no more. He then compares life to the tale told by a director, which is full of noise and passion, but ultimately it signifies nothing. Comparing life to theatre, Shakespeare not only questions the purpose of life, but also gives a reminder of the illusionary nature of theatre. Illusionary nature of theatre, also illusionary nature of world. In theatre, people work hard, they prepare their performance and are very much egoistic, maybe proud of their role. But in actuality, we see that role is very uh, small one from the point of view of the actor and from the point of view of the audience. There is a wide difference, wide gap. Actor considers himself very important one, gives much significance to his presentation, whereas for the audience it is a petty matter. In this manner, Shakespeare says that the director, they make them very, they realize that this presentation or drama is very important one, and they must do everything to make it a success. But ultimately, what is the gain? It is a short performance, not very much remembered by the people. Likewise, life is also illusionary. In life, we think that such achievement is very important. Without this, we can't do. We choose these illusionary aims. We spend much time and energy on such achievements. But ultimately, what is the use? So here we see Shakespeare presents his philosophy of the virtual and real world. Virtually, we consider so many things very important, but ultimately we have to decide that what is really important in our life. Now move on to this next quotation made by Lady Macbeth. Here is the smell of the blood straw. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. In this first scene of Act 5, Lady Macbeth keeps on washing her hands. And she says, she develops the disease of insomnia, and this line is from the famous sleepwalking scene, where doctor comes to visit her, and in his sleepwalk she reveals all about the crime committed by Macbeth. She keeps on washing her hands and expresses her guilt. She is traumatized, guilt-ridden, and says she cannot get rid of the smell of blood from her hands. Not even if all the perfumes of Arabia are applied to it. Earlier, When, after committing murder of King Duncan, Macbeth was worried about and traumatized by seeing blood on the dagger and on his hand. Lady Macbeth assured him that wash your the hands and a little of water will clean your hands. At that time, she was very much motivated, was controlling the whole situation, was trying to hard to hide this crime, and she guided Macbeth to wash his hands, to change his clothes also, and she presented herself as a very confident one. But it was a false behavior. She somehow tried to behave in that manner to get the result. But this guilt became very heavy upon his consciousness. Becoming guilt ridden, she many times washes her hands, but every time smells is the blood upon his hand. And she says, even the plenty of perfumes from Arabia will not remove this bloody smell from her hand. Knowing that she was the prime force that led Macbeth to this murderous path, her guilt dominates her thoughts, and she is unable to turn away from what she now considers sin. So there we see that she is loaded with this guilt of sin, and ultimately this guilt becomes unbearable to her and she commits the crime. We move to the last statement, last quotation for today. Things without all remedy should be without regard. What's done is done. In the second scene of Act 3rd, Lady Macbeth made this statement. In these lines, she says to her husband, she advises Macbeth. She makes this effort to console Macbeth, advises him get over the guilt and fear Macbeth was experiencing due to the murder he has committed. She says that things which cannot be remedied should not be given regard to, which means that what has been done, Macbeth murdered Duncan, and it cannot be undone. Now they have to move forward only. She says that things which cannot be remedied, which cannot be solved, which cannot be undone, should not be given regard, should not be given thought, or you shouldn't think about things which you can't rectify. Means that which cannot be rectified, which cannot be improved, one must not think about them. She adds, what's done is done, implying that there is no changing the past. Oh, so forget about it and move on. The murder cannot be undone now. Although Shakespeare didn't coin the phrase what's done is done, but Macbeth remains one of the first recorded use of it and is definitely made the phrase popular. So like you see the charmed life, this phrase what's done is done also became very popular. I hope that these quotations would have reminded you of the storyline of this play Macbeth and would be helpful for you. अभी आपको शॉर्ट में जो कुछ भी बताया गया है वो समरी दे देते हैं। सबसे पहले जैसा ड्रामा में मैकबेथ है, वो असलियत में मैकबेथ जो 11th सेंचुरी में स्कॉटलैंड में रूल करते थे वैसे नहीं थे। उनका असली नाम था मैकबेथ मैकफिंडलिश और वो कोई मर्डरर नहीं थे। स्कॉटलैंड के बहुत छोटे से पोर्शन पे वो रूल करते थे। अब एक्सप्लेनेशंस जो दिए गए हैं उनके बारे में। पहला, आपने देखा ये डू आई फियर दाई नेचर जो लेडी मैकबेथ ने बोला जब उन्होंने लेटर मैकबेथ का रिसीव किया, तब उन्हें ये समझ में आ गया कि जो काम मैकबेथ को मर्डर का करना पड़ेगा वो करने के लिए उनकी जो स्वाभाविक प्रवृत्ति है, जो दयालु, उनके नेचर में जो दयालुता है, वो उनको मर्डर करने से रोकेगा, ऐसा उन्होंने किया। दूसरे में लुक लाइक द इनोसेंट फ्लावर बट बी द सर्पेंट अंडर इट। इसमें भी लेडी मैकबेथ ने कहा कि क्योंकि तुम्हें मर्डर करना है और भाव तुम्हारे चेहरे पे आ रहे हैं, उन्हें तुम्हें छुपाना पड़ेगा। इनोसेंट फ्लावर मतलब एक अच्छे होस्ट की तरह तुम किंग को वेलकम करो और अपनी भावनाओं को छुपाओ। थर्ड में जो हमने बोला भी ब्लडी बोल्ड एंड रिजोल्यूट, उसमें बताया मैकबेथ जब एपरेशंस को देखता है तो सेकंड एपरेशन उसको एश्योर करती है कि तुम्हें किसी से डरने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि जो कोई भी किसी भी स्त्री से प्राकृतिक स्वाभाविक रूप से उत्पन्न है वो तुम्हें मार नहीं सकता। लेकिन ये बात बाद में गलत साबित हुई। नेक्स्ट में आपने जो देखा देयर इज डैगर इन मैन्स स्माइल, डोनाल्ड वैन को जब पता लग जाता है कि कासल में उसके फादर को किसी ने मार दिया है, तब वो ये समझ जाता है कि हमारे ही बीच का कोई व्यक्ति है जिसने ये घात किया है, और वो कहता है जो जितना हमारे करीबी होता है वही उतना बड़ा धोखा हमें देता है। अगला जब आपने देखा लेट फॉल दाई ब्लेड ऑन वल्नरेबल क्रेस्ट, मैकबेथ ने ये चैलेंज किया मैकबेथ को जब उनकी लड़ाई हो रही थी, और उसने कहा कि तुम अपनी तलवार का इस्तेमाल वहां पे करो जिन्हें ये तलवार घायल कर सकती है, क्योंकि मैं तो प्रोटेक्टेड हूँ, मुझे जो कोई भी स्त्री से उत्पन्न है वो मार नहीं सकता। अगले में फेयर इज फाउल एंड फाउल इज फेयर, जो कि पूरे ड्रामा का ही आपको आइडिया थीम दे रहा है कि जो सही दिख रहा है वो गलत हो जाएगा और जो गलत दिख रहा है वो सही निकलेगा। यानी कि जो ड्रामेटिक आयरनी वाली बात हम देखते हैं वो बहुत बार हम इसमें नोटिस करते हैं। ये विचेस की स्पीच में उन्होंने ऐसा बोला था। और अगली जो आप देखते हैं कि टू नो टू नो माई डीड इट वर बेस्ट नॉट नो माई सेल्फ। मैकबेथ डंकन का मर्डर करने के बाद कहता है कि जो कृत्य मैंने किया है उसको देखने के बजाय, उसका एहसास करने के बजाय यही बेहतर होता है कि मैं अपने आप को ही नहीं जानता। यानी कि जो उसने काम किया उस पर वो रिग्रेट कर रहा है। अगले में आउट आउट ब्रीफ कैंडल, इसमें मैकबेथ एक ड्रामेटिक परफॉर्मेंस थिएटर के जो वर्ड है उससे अपनी लाइफ को कंपेयर करके बताता है कि जैसे थिएटर में एक छोटे से टाइम के लिए, शॉर्ट पीरियड के लिए कोई परफॉर्मेंस होती है और उसके बाद उस परफॉर्मेंस की कोई सिग्निफिकेंस नहीं रह जाती, इसी तरह से हम लाइफ में भी बहुत सारे काम ऐसे करते हैं जिन्हें हम बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट समझ रहे होते हैं लेकिन वो उतने सिग्निफिकेंट नहीं होते। तो ये वर्ड भी एक इल्यूशनरी वर्ड है, जैसा कि रंगमंच का वर्ड होता है। इसके बाद आपने देखा हियर इज द स्मेल ऑफ द ब्लड स्टिल, लेडी मैकबेथ गिल्ट रिडन हो जाती है और वो अपने हाथों को धोती रहती है और वो कहती है कि अरेबिया का सारा परफ्यूम भी इस हाथ से ब्लड की स्मेल नहीं हटा सकता, अर्थात कि जो गुनाह उन्होंने किया उसको अनडन नहीं किया जा सकता, या उनकी कॉन्शियसनेस पे जो वर्डन है, जो उनके मानसिक जो संताप है, अब उससे वो मुक्त नहीं हो सकते। लास्ट में आपने देखा थिंग्स विदाउट ऑल रेमेडी शुड बी विदाउट रिगार्ड। यहाँ लेडी मैकबेथ ने एडवाइस किया मैकबेथ को, जब उन्होंने डंकन का मर्डर कर दिया, कि जिन चीज़ों को हम रिवर्ट नहीं कर सकते, वापस नहीं कर सकते, जिनको अनडन नहीं कर सकते, उनके बारे में ज़्यादा सोचना नहीं चाहिए। थैंक यू।